We continue our story with Dreadwing and Roadbuster simply blasting at each other to, like, no end. Keep in mind, both of their ships are blown up at this point, and the gas station is also blown up. So, yeah, that's a lot of insurance to actually cover for Agent Fowler. And keep in mind, Roadbuster is known to be the crash out of the wreckers and the most ruthless of it. But we go back to the Autobot base where the Autobots are preparing, but again, Optimus wants a little bit more information before he goes. And he simply asks Skyquake, "Do you think your brother would join us?" To which Skyquake says he hopes so. "We are brothers, loving each other as we should. But again, our loyalty to the cause was something undeniable, unshakable. I only changed because of Starscream and putting two and two together with how Megatron handled his cause. My brother, however, may not be so easy to convince, as again, like you said, or as Drift states, our honor is our own, and we choose how to use it." To which Optimus simply nods. And this is where he simply does tell Skyquake that he will not harm his brother. He will try to give him every chance possible. But he does tell him, if it does come to it, to which Skyquake simply does state, he understands. He only hopes that his brother will side with them before it comes to that, and before it's too late. So, this is where Optimus then actually starts gathering everyone and tells them the plan here. He wants to apprehend Dreadwing, not kill him, and at least convince him. But again, this is where RC simply states, okay, then what about the other Autobot there? How are we going to convince him not to blow him up? I mean, look, just look at the environment here. And who is he, by the way? To which this is where Bulkhead chimes in and says, "Oh, that's Roadbuster. He's a wrecker, one of my oldest friends, and so great to see him again." To which this is where Drift and Miko kind of both like look at each other and kind of hear the same thing. And Drift is the first one to speak up, saying that you don't sound too happy to see one of your old friends. And this is where Bulk is like, no, I'm happy to see him, but Roadbuster's a little unstable, if you get what I mean. To which this is where Miko's like, he's got mental issues? To which like, no, he's a bit of a crash out. A bit eager to, you know, kind of get stuff done. To which Drift is like, so he is somewhat undisciplined. Kind of expected, but nevertheless, we should actually go and, well, get this done. To which this is where Ratchet simply states, if you really don't mind, I would actually like you for one of you to, well, if you could, take one of the spectral beasts with you. To which this is where Gygus is the most eager of the group, jumping up happily and pretty much just, you know, roaring as well. To which Miko's like, well, it seems the big one, or at least the T-Rex wants to go here. And this is where Optimus simply just kind of just nods at it and simply states that, alright, so we have our team. Now let's go, and let's hope we can convince someone else to join our side. Meanwhile, or at least as this was pretty much going on, right, we kind of go to the Decepticon warship. Keep in mind, both sides are kind of having this conversation at the same time, or kind of having the realization that this is happening. Now, something I did not ever, you know, realize was, how did Megatron never pick up on Dreadwing entering the atmosphere? I mean, the Decepticons always have the best surveillance and the best everything, right? I mean, Soundwave's literally right there. There should be nothing that gets past them, even on this planet. So, with that being said, this is where Soundwave actually shows footage of Dreadwing and Roadbuster, you know, tearing it up. And this is where Starscream states, well, I'll go retrieve him. However, Soundwave is quick to shut him down and shows the exact same thing that happened last time. And this is where Megatron simply states, and here yet again I am reminded of not only your stupidity, Starscream, but your incompetence. You costed me one of the best soldiers I've had. See to it that you never do so again. And this is where Megatron simply states, I'll be handling this myself. Soundwave, prepare to bridge me. To which Soundwave simply, excuse me, I almost said Starscream. Soundwave locks on to the coordinates, and, well, Megatron walks through the space bridge. Keep in mind, this is as Optimus, Bulkhead, Skyquake, and Gygus also go through the bridge. But this is where Starscream simply walks through the ship, monologuing to himself. However, this is where he sees Knocket in his laboratory working, and he gets an idea. He says, think you can help me? Of course, Starscream. I mean, why not? What do you need? To which Starscream simply explains the situation. He needs an upgrade. He needs to be stronger, faster, tougher. To which Knockout says, yeah, he can do that quite easily. But are you sure you want to go through with this? To which Starscream simply states he's tired of it. Tired of the berating. Tired of the constant humiliation by Megatron. Saving his life, and then he still gets this. Also, have Breakdown make a call to these two Decepticons for him. To which Knockout sends the information to Breakdown and begins working on Starscream. And, well, we then pan over to the battlefield, where Optimus and his team are pretty much there, and Megatron arrives at the same time. To which Bulkhead says, sick him. And this is where Gygus eagerly rushes over to Megatron and bites down on his fusion cannon arm. And Megatron simply starts screaming in pain as Dreadwing looks over to see Megatron getting attacked by this monstrous-sized Tyrannosaurus Rex in armor. And keep in mind, Gygus is using him as kind of like a chew toy. Yeah, so you know how like dogs grab a toy and simply shake it? That's what's happening to Megatron. He's getting shook around, slammed, and keep in mind with his fusion cannon arm being bitten down on, he can't really do much except try to swing his good arm at him, but Gygus simply flings him around to the point where, yeah, that's not happening no time soon. And this gives Optimus and, you know, Optimus, Skyquake, and Bulkhead a chance. This is where Bulkhead simply rushes towards, Roadbuster, and Dreadwing and Skyquake and Optimus go towards Dreadwing, which finally Dreadwing being able to talk to his brother. You betrayed our master, and now you sick some beast to attack him. To a Skyquake's like, hold on a minute, it's not exactly like that. To which Optimus simply stands there and keeps kind of quiet at the moment, hoping that Skyquake can convince his brother. Meanwhile, Bulkhead and Roadbuster do get reacquainted again, and, you know, the reunion's great, but this is where Roadbuster informs him on what happened to Sea Spray. And Bulkhead is shocked, absolutely in, you know, just in disbelief. One of his buddies, his wreckers, is dead. Killed in a explosion. Like, what the... Wow. He's taking this moment in, and Roadbuster simply, you know, while Roadbuster's a crash out, he still has, you know, some compassion and decency to comfort Bulkhead and tell him that right now, that Decepticon right there, Dreadwing, is responsible for it. And, one question, to which Bulkhead's like, what the heck is that? And to which Bulkhead is like, oh, that's Gygus. He's one of the 4 spectral beasts that we have. To which he's like, wait a minute, you mean Chrome Dome's project? To which he's like, yeah, actually, it's successful even. And, kind of crazy, isn't it? To which he's like, crazy? That thing's awesome. I want to write it. To which Bulkhead's like, no. She was like, I'm going to write it. No. To which he's like, I'm going to write it. No. We have to focus on the situation here. To which this is where Dreadwing and Skyquake finally have their conversation. And he simply tells him, how could you betray our master? And Skyquake simply states, when I was first put on this planet, I was in stasis. And I was summoned by Starscream. Oh, keep in mind, small little detail. You hear Megatron screaming in the background to, like, get this creature off of him. And this is as is pretty much happening. So, just kind of a funny little detail. And this is where he simply explains everything. How Starscream blindsided him. How he really saw that Megatron's cause just wasn't fit for his honor. And he wants his brother to come with him. To which Dreadwing simply states, so you betrayed our master for another Decepticon's wrongdoing. To which this was where he notes to Dreadwing that his honor is his own and his choice is his own. To which Dreadwing simply states to his brother, so that's how you feel. And Skyquake simply states yes, and he would hope his brother would not only respect his decision, but at least come and see his side, and even extends his hand. However, Dreadwing's anger boils over. And keep in mind, you could probably say he's kind of just riled up from the situation with Roadbuster, seeing Megatron get attacked, and then seeing his brother with the Autobots, that he's not in the right mindset to listen at the moment. And he pulls out his cannon, much to Skyquake's shock. However, Optimus tackles him out the way, making sure that he's safe. However, this is where Roadbuster and Bulkhead manage to finally jump in, seeing their opportunity. And Dreadwing is actually getting pushed back here, actually having no choice but to hide behind the rubble of his ship. And this is where he sees Megatron still getting throttled here by Gigas. So what he does is he tosses a bomb at Gigas's back, and it explodes, causing Gigas to just roar out in pain. And Megatron, finally free, but with obviously teeth marks in his arm and fusion cannon, manages to still shoot Gigas, causing him to, well, fly back. But Gigas regains himself mid-air. This allows Soundwave to actually open up a ground bridge, and, well, the two of them simply run through it, with Megatron on the deck of the warship simply stating, "I'm glad you made the right choice. Together, we will exterminate all the Autobots, including your brother." To which Dreadwing simply states, "He is no brother of mine. My honor is my own, and my choice is to serve you." However, this is where they're greeted by Knockout, who states that he's glad that Megatron's back, as he would like to show him his new and improved second in command. To which Megatron kind of chuckles a bit and states, "This ought to be entertaining. Tell me, Knockout, what improvements has Starscream could have made to himself?" Well, this is where he hears a voice simply stating, "How about you look and see?" And this is where we see Starscream, a bit like his Armada version. Knockout did a banged up job getting this done, because again, if he already had the parts to give Starscream a new arm, why not give him a new body? It's Decepticon engineering, let's be real. And this is where Megatron actually gives a genuine smile and actually a compliment. "So, I see you took my advice to heart. Good." And this is where, out the corner of his eye, he spots two jets landing, that being Cyclonus, one of his greatest warriors, at least after the likes of Dreadwing and Skyquake. And this is where he also sees his hunter, Scourge, one of his deadliest soldiers as well. And Megatron lets out a hearty laugh. Not only has Starscream really improved himself, but he has also given him two of the deadliest Decepticons that he has. And this is where Megatron simply states, "Starscream, you're a genius." And so, this is where we move on. A couple episodes do happen, like crisscross and everything. But now, here we are at the Metal Attraction episode. The Autobots that go are Dreadwing, Skyquake, and Armatus. And this is where we also see Dreadwing, Scourge, and Cyclonus actually go. Keep in mind, Arachnid is the one to find the Polarity Gauntlet in the original, with Breakdown not being here, and, well, you know, him kind of just going through that himself. And this is where we actually get, well, a giant battle taking place, with Arachnid utilizing the cover to kind of slip away. Meanwhile, the battle will go like this. Armatus actually utilizes his energy missiles to keep Scourge at bay, while Scourge actually finds this entertaining that a creature can truly defend itself against him. And this way he utilizes gadgets like spears, his energon knives and stuff like that, and even tries to lay out traps, but Armatus is smart enough and strong enough to actually get through this, even causing miniature earthquakes to destabilize some of the stuff. Meanwhile, Roadbuster and Cyclonus engage each other in sort of a vehicular warfare, where Cyclonus uses his jet form to try to outmaneuver Roadbuster in his dual tank form, or I would probably say his dune buggy form here, and Skyquake engages with Dreadwing. However, as Arachnid thinks she's able to get away in time, she's shot in the back with an electric taser by Starscream. And this is where he says, "Look of what I caught." And this is where Arachnid's like, "Starscream, you look different. How about we propose a deal? You let me go, and you can have this relic." To which Starscream was like, "Perhaps back then I would have taken that. But now, Arachnid," and keep in mind, he grabs Arachnid by the throat, "I'm more interested into seeing what will Megatron do with you." So, Arachnid is taken back to the warship by Starscream. I know, crazy work. Getting captured by Starscream has got to be embarrassing. But that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends, and what's going to happen between Dreadwing and Skyquake from here on out. And, well, let me know what you guys think about adding Cyclonus and Scourge to this series as well. Peace.